You're listening to the Lawyers with Purpose Practice Success Podcast, hosted by Lisa Rozier, featuring attorney Dave Zampano, along with frequent guests. Whether you're a seasoned estate planning attorney, an attorney looking to add estate planning and elder law to your existing list of practice areas, or you're just starting out, this podcast will give you a solid plan for success. Listen now as Dave and his guests share their personal journeys to practice success and the insights they learned along the way.
Okay, it's great to be back. Thanks for taking time out of your busy days to spend it with me and the Practice Success Podcast. Today, got someone in the chair next to me, a little bit different. We got Mandy Bossow. She was in the last call with me as well. Mandy is the Member Success Supervisor here at Lawyers with Purpose. She's here to just poke and prod our guests in any way, shape, or form, to help the listener gather and get insights that might help them in increasing the success in their practice. And that being said, I'm thrilled to have with us today Andrew Jaloza. Andrew's an attorney in Glendale, New York. In a bigger picture, that's Queens, New York, if you're talking about the 5 boroughs. And Andrew, welcome. I'm so glad you're taking the time out of your busy day to share your story with us.
Thanks, Dave, for inviting me in. Thanks, Mandy, for assisting us in this.
Yeah. So the listeners, what's the story of Andrew Jaloza? Give us a little bit about how long you've been practicing and what your journey was at a high level from when you started to where you are today.
Well, I was born in a farm.
Yeah, we know you're in Queens. That ain't happening.
I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Lived there for most of my life and moved to Queens about 35 years ago. About the same time I started practicing law. So I graduated law school in 1988, and my practice has included a lot of different things, including estate planning, some basic types of estate planning for a good percentage of it. Probably 25 years ago, I wrote my first will and trust. And then I did a lot of real estate after that. I had different interests and, like many attorneys, I was looking to escape being an attorney. I don't know if that's a familiar story or you hear that pretty often. I know that I have. And so, I had gone into the mortgage business, and I thought that I had escaped being an attorney. And then the mortgage business didn't turn out to be a very good business in 2008. And I transitioned back to being a real estate attorney. And my practice continued, and sometime around, sometime around 2008, I went and I took a class at a Omega Center. It's a place where they help people find, there's all kinds of personal development classes.
Yeah.
And it was called Finding Passion in the Second Half of Your Life. And what I did was, as a result of this weekend workshop and the things that were done in it, it became clear, at least on that paper, that I was meant to be an elder law and estate planning attorney. And it took me about 7 years further in my life till I actually did something about that. Because
I want to pause you a second. This weekend retreat, you said, the skies opened and they said, you got to be an estate planning elder law attorney. So I'm going to translate what I think happened and you help me clarify. So what happened was I'm assuming it had you examine like what you want, what is you and what you want from your career. And you then started doing some exercises which associated with, when I do elder law and estate planning, I enjoy it and I feel good. Am I close?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. That was great.
So that's how you got to it. It's like, okay, this was something I would enjoy doing. And it was a way for you to get out of this place of what the hell am I doing and how do I find value of it? So for you, it was elder law and estate planning. And then you still had 7 more years to figure out what that meant, right?
No, exactly.
So that's what it sounds like, yeah.
That's usually 7 to 8 is usually the amount of time for me to have some stroke of genius and then for me to do something. So 7 or 8 years is generally the time it takes for me to have a stroke of genius and then do something about it. So in any event, and then I decided that I wanted to pivot and add this to my practice. I wanted, real estate. My real estate practice was not spiritually satisfying to me. I'll say it that way. It didn't feed my spirit. It wasn't what I was passionate about anymore. but it was how I made my living. And I thought I needed to do that and continue making a living doing that. So I went to find a way to, I explored ways to transition my practice in some way. So in my mid 50s, I decided I'm going to go create a whole new practice. And what better way to do that than find someone or some entity that does help people transition their practice if they want, or learn how to be an estate planning attorney. And that began my journey to becoming an estate planning attorney. And that took place 2013, October of 2013. I met Dave Zampano, and the rest has been history. Since then, I've continually worked to create the practice that I want to practice in, the practice that I'm passionate about and to help people with. And,
So that's pretty wild, because I'm going to go back on your words here. You say, yeah, every 7 to 8 years, I get a great idea, and then 7 or 8 years for me to implement it or make it real. So it seems like you're 7 or 8 years in that journey since you taken your current course. Bring us, if you could, bring us to where you are and help the listener understand the journey. So once you made the commitment that, yes, I do see this value, I do have to transition. I love that word. You had to transition from what you were doing into something new. So here you are 8 years later. Tell us what your life looks like now as an estate planning attorney, and then just kind of share like some of the lessons along the way and some of the insights and challenges that you captured, and what you would, what you think would be relevant to the people who are in that spot that you once were in. Excellent.
So, as the 7, 8 year mark, at the 7 or 8 year mark, I find myself in that place where, we were taught a lot of things. We were given a lot of tools. We were told, how to implement things. And I tried to do that and still run this kind of crazy real estate practice at the same time. Where we are today is I've gone from being 90% real estate and 10% estate planning to vice versa. Right now, I make 90% of my revenue through estate planning and elder law, and less than 10% of my revenue through real estate. I also practice in a more robust way. I practice using the things that we have been taught to use, and we have implemented systems and processes. So my practice before was Andy Jaloza by the seat of your pants law, and now it is a practice that is intentional, with processes in place, with procedures, with planning, with looking forward and forecasting, reading, measuring, tracking a business. Before, and for the most of my life until right now, maybe a year or two ago, I owned a business. I worked in a business. I paid myself as an employee of my business versus being a business owner. Now I am a business owner. I have a team. We act as a team. We have rules and structure. And most importantly, we have measuring, we have managing things. Because we can measure it, we can forecast into the future. We have marketing strategies. We're following marketing strategies and doing things that I never did before when I was on my own, and never did before I came to understand the difference between, like, I had that entrepreneurial seizure to go out to work for myself sometime in my life. And I have to tell you that, I did a pretty good job of it. But the job that's happening now, two things happen. Number one, I'm making much more money than I ever made. And number two, I have a system and process in place that it's not dependent upon me being here. We're building it so that I don't have to be here, but my practice can help people nonetheless and be successful and profitable because of the things that we've learned to do.
So it sounds like the journey of that weekend, all those years ago, has been fulfilled in some way, shape, or form. And you get fulfillment in what you're doing. It wasn't always easy, though. Tell us, remind us of some of the challenges along the way, and then some of your insights. I mean, right, in my own experience, what I've learned is challenges are great opportunities, right? A lot of people look at challenges as an obstacle. Entrepreneurs look at challenges as opportunities. And they don't feel like opportunities at the time, do they, Andrew? But
no.
When you get through them, you have a lesson. So share some of the obstacles you had to overcome, and really the insights and opportunities that gave you going forward?
The way I like to look at it, we get gifts and we get gifts in disguise. So the gifts in disguise are those opportunities that we find when we are challenged. And the truth is no matter what, in every single situation, there's a gift and opportunity to be found if you want to look for it. So where we were challenged to be a team, to act as a team. Like most people are used to that model where you have the boss and everybody works for the boss, right? Instead of me being part of a team that helps support me to make it's a better firm. My firm is better because we all operate as a team. Getting everybody to buy on to be a team member, especially when they come from other firms that they've never seen this thing before, is like herding cats. You have to move them around. You have to share the vision. I've learned to be a leader, a real leader, a leader in a way that I'm intentionally doing things. I mean, again, there is these systems and processes that obviously work because many people are working them. If you work them, they work very well. When you try to add your own wrinkles to them, some of them work, some of them don't. That's what we found. I did too much of me trying to moderate the systems and moderate the processes. And what that left me with is a less than optimal way of doing things. So we have the saying, follow the damn system. And I think that
comes up in every podcast.
Yeah, well, then to the extent that you're willing to set aside your ego, those things that you think that you know better, to the extent that you do that and at least try it, you find success more often than not in following.
I think that's I think that's a great thing because, we all know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know, right? An old landmark concept, landmark education. And it sounds like your journey is really about being open. So again, we've talked about the core values before: open, curious, aware, collaborative, adaptable, and generous. So it really requires an openness to be open to the possibility that, this can be different and it doesn't have to be Andrew dependent. That Andrew's a piece in a cog. He's a piece of a machine that's all working and everyone has their role in that. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. Talk about the people. What's been your experience? There's been people I'm sure you've lost along the way that was hard or difficult. What was the lessons in the people you surround yourself with?
Well, I'd say, first of all, we have strived and have now are getting to be a process-driven firm rather than a people-driven firm. And what I mean by that is there's nobody, including myself, who cannot be replaced. And in fact, I'm trying to replace myself, because there are other things that I want to do, while at the same time I want to still continue to help people in practicing law and doing those kind of things. So I need to build the system and people around me, people that we call the people on the bus, right? The people on the bus that we put on here have to all integrate well, and sometimes they don't. And so people who don't fit into those core values you talk about, of open, generous, adaptable, those things are important to us. That's who we are and who we want to be. We want people, and in fact, when we hire people, we make sure they're aligned with those core values before hiring them. Because it's really essential that that's what we're doing. We're pulling along all in the same direction, in the same way, with those core values always guiding us. The people who don't fit into those core values generally self-select themselves off the bus. And sometimes they have to be coached off the bus. And the truth is that's how it works. That's how
whoa. You just said something that's like a third world language. What planet are you talking from? They either self-select off the bus, or you said they have to be coached off the bus. What the heck does that mean?
Well, the point is this. I think that, there are sometimes people, first of all, they need to be sometimes coached into a better space where they fit in a better space. So like many people think, I do this well, I want to stay here forever. And they may not be in the right seat on the bus. So we have to talk and coach and help them move to a better spot on the bus, right? to see their full potential and how we can have a win. They can have what they want and the firm can get what it needs. And sometimes people just are not aligned with those core values. If they can be collaborative and generous, if they can't help cross-train other people so that we have a more efficient firm, and they want to hold on to their knowledge and be stingy about it, then they're really not part of the team. They're not a team player, and they impede our process. So,
well, wouldn't someone think that, hey, you want me to do that so you can replace me?
I think that is generally the common viewpoint. However, you need to help coach people to see how that will help them. And that's what I mean by coaching them. You have to coach people to see that what you're doing may feel or look or appear to be not in their best interest. You have to show them the other aspects of it and include them in where their piece is in the bigger whole, right? And show them how they fit there to make them be more comfortable that, no, we're not replacing you. What we're hoping is that we're moving you up eventually. You need to help grow who your team is going to be.
So you can't grow up if you can't grow out of your position. Exactly. So you're trying to be changing their mindset from a job to a career. So look, if you just want to come here and crank out the same thing every day, that's one thing, but we want for you to be able to do more, it sounds like, that you can Absolutely. Go as far as you want in this organizational structure.
Right. There really is like no here. The answer is, how are you going to help do it, right? When they come to me with a suggestion, they want to go do something, I say, great, how will you do this? It puts the onus on them. If they exhibit the core values and they want to work in the betterment of everything and everybody here, which we all grow together as team, they say that the high tide rises all the boats, right? So we're looking for that experience here. We're looking for us to work together. Some people don't work well in teams. Some people would rather be off by themselves. There is room for some of those people too. There are times when you have technicians, and it's a good thing that this is the type of person they are. They want to just put their head down, plow. They want to take part in team meetings and in planning and looking for things that are outside their exact job description. They either don't last long or they somehow transform themselves so that they find themselves comfortably fitting into the team. That happened with our paralegal that we hired. She's now, there front and center in the team meetings, contributing in a very high level. So it's all pulling together. It feels better. When everybody rows in the boat, you row at the same pace and you're all pulling the same way, the boat goes faster. It goes further.
Love it. So in the closing thoughts, thinking of your journey, where you are today, what words of wisdom would you have to a listener, about, what you overcame and maybe a piece of advice to anyone who may be where you have been somewhere along the way?
What I would say is it's never too old to learn something new. And that, no matter what, don't be stuck in that adage that an old dog can't learn new tricks. If you remain open and you are curious, the world has a lot of things to teach you, including if you're not liking what you're doing, find some other thing to do. Take that step, be courageous, be bold. Is it going to be difficult at times? It always is. But as we talked at the beginning, there is always a gift and opportunity in every situation. Find that. Yeah.
Reminds me of something my mother always said. She always said, do what you love and then find a way to make money at it.
Good point.
And so it seems like that was your transition, that when you had that weekend, you knew, being the lawyer thing, you tried to run from it. You went into the mortgage business. Timing wasn't great, wasn't fulfilling. Felt the pull, followed it, couldn't really implement it, and then found a way to find other people to help you implement that. And now you're living your excitement, the things you love doing.
You say it very well, Dave. Thank you.
Andrew, you're an inspiration to me. I love hearing your journey. I love hearing all the different journeys along the way. I so appreciate you taking time out of your day and sharing your story with me and the listeners. So thank you. Keep up the great work and be well, my friend.
And thank both of you and take care. Have a good Veterans Day weekend.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Practice Success Podcast. Visit www.lawyerswithpurpose.com/podcast to listen to other episodes and to subscribe. We'll see you next time.